Welcome to the deep dive. So, if you're looking for a really detailed look, like a blueprint almost, for how a major, fast growing economy could actually switch its entire power system off fossil fuels, well, you're in the right spot today.
Yeah, it's a huge challenge.
And today we're focusing on just one really comprehensive source. It's called an energy transition pathway for Turkey to achieve 100% renewable energy powered electricity, desalination, and non-energetic industrial gas demand sectors by 2050.
Quite a title, I know.
But the mission, basically, it's about using this super detailed model, simulating every single hour from 2015 to 2050.
Every hour. Wow.
Every hour, to figure out the best and, crucially, the least cost way for Turkey to get to 100% renewable energy. And they didn't just look at the country as one big block.
Right, they broke it down.
Yeah, across 7 different geographical regions.
Yeah.
It makes the planning much more realistic.
And the results, I mean, they feel like a real aha moment for anyone watching this space. The study points towards just a massive reliance on solar PV. We're talking, what, 73% of all capacity? That's the big number, yeah, 73% solar.
But the really fascinating part, I think, is this idea that adding more complexity, linking the power sector with things like water desalination and industrial gas production, it actually brings the overall energy cost down.
Exactly. It seems counterintuitive, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You'd think adding more sectors makes it pricier.
Right. More complicated, more expensive. But here, sector coupling actually makes it cheaper.
It does. And to really get why this plan is potentially so transformative, you got to understand Turkey's specific situation, its energy challenge.
Okay, set the scene for us.
Well, it's a key hub, connecting Asia, the Middle East, Europe, and its population is growing fast. Around 78 million back in 2015, but projected to hit nearly 96 million by 2050.
96 million. And their electricity use is climbing just as fast, right?
Oh, faster.
Wow.
Between 2000 and 2015, electricity consumption jumped by over 170%. That's explosive growth.
And the study projects that by 2050, the average person in Turkey will use as much power as someone in the EU today, about 6,000 kilowatt hours.
That's the projection. So you have this huge demand increase, but it's layered on top of a really serious dependency issue.
The import dependency. Tell us about that.
It's critical. This isn't just an economic headache. It's a major security risk. Back in 2015, fuel imports cost the country almost 34 billion euros.
34 billion. That's huge. Like, what percentage of total imports is that?
Oh, 20%. A fifth of everything they imported. If you dig into it, the main issue is natural gas.
Okay.
Turkey imports nearly all of it, 99.2%. And the really sticky part is that over 71% of that gas comes from just 2 countries, Russia and Iran.
Wait a minute. So this 100% renewable plan, it's not just about environment or cost savings. It's fundamentally a strategy for geopolitical independence, getting off that reliance.
Absolutely. That's a massive driver.
Yeah.
Cutting that 34 billion euro import bill annually, it's, well, a core part of the economic argument.
Yeah.
But there's another crisis sort of bubbling underneath, which is water scarcity.
Ah, right. I remember reading Turkey is facing serious water stress.
It is. Projections suggest it could be one of the top 30 water-stressed countries globally by 2040. And dealing with that likely means a big increase in seawater desalination.
Which takes a lot of energy.
Exactly. So the energy system and the water system become deeply interconnected. Solving one requires thinking about the other.
Okay, so that linkage informs how the study was actually set up.
Precisely. They used what's called a regulatory model, focused on finding the lowest cost over long-term, not just short-term market swings. And the detail comes from that hourly resolution, modeling sunshine, wind speeds, everything, across those 7 distinct regions.
Marmara, Aegean, Black Sea, East, Southeast, Central Anatolia, Mediterranean.
Yeah.
Yeah, you need that regional detail because the resources are so different place to place.
Definitely. So to see the benefit of linking things up, they modeled 2 main scenarios out to 2050.
What were they?
First, a baseline, the power sector scenario. This just looks at meeting the electricity demand, nothing else.
Okay, the straightforward approach.
Right. Then, the innovative one, the integrated scenario. This includes the power sector, plus the demand from seawater desalination, specifically using reverse osmosis, SWRO, and replacing non-energetic industrial gas demand using power to gas, or PTG.
Got it. And a key ground rule for both scenarios, sticking to COP21 climate goals, means no new coal plants, right?
Correct. No new coal investments. Let the existing fossil fuel plants just phase out naturally based on their technical lifespan, avoid stranded assets, ensures a clean transition.
So let's look at that integrated scenario in 2050. What does the system actually look like? The scale sounds immense.
It is. I mean, the total installed capacity reaches 536.3 gigawatts. Just try to picture that. It's a gigantic build-out.
3036 GW. And the dominant technology is solar by a long shot.
Overwhelmingly, solar PV makes up 73% of that total capacity. That's 387 gigawatts of solar.
Wow. And that's a mix of different types?
Yeah, you've got your big utility scale plants, some fixed, some tracking the sun, but also a really significant chunk from prosumers.
Prosumers, so rooftop solar on homes and businesses.
Exactly. Residential, commercial, industrial rooftops. And the study highlights that industrial prosumers, factories, warehouses, they actually account for 54% of all that prosumer capacity.
So businesses become major power producers themselves. Interesting. What about wind?
Wind is still huge. It reaches 92 gigawatts, but it's very geographically focused.
Where do they see it being built?
Mostly in the Marmara and Aegean regions. About 72% of all the wind capacity is concentrated there, which lines up perfectly with where the wind resource maps show the highest potential.
Makes sense. Build where the wind blows hardest and the fossil fuel phase out. How does that play out?
Well, coal power is completely gone by 2050. The study shows the last plant shutting down around 2045.
Okay, no coal. What about natural gas plants?
The existing ones, the open and combined cycle turbines, they actually stay in the system, but they get converted.
Converted to run on.
Synthetic natural gas, SNG, which is produced using surplus renewable electricity.
Ah, okay. So you're keeping that dispatchable capacity for reliability, but you're fueling it with domestically produced carbon neutral gas.
Exactly. It's about repurposing existing infrastructure for a clean grid, providing that essential backup when needed.
Right, that makes sense. Okay, this brings us to what might be the most compelling part. The economics, the cost comparison.
This is really the core finding. Let's look at the levelized cost of electricity. LCOE, basically the average cost per unit of energy over the system's lifetime.
Okay. In the first scenario, the one that only focused on the power sector.
The LCOE actually goes up slightly, from about 63 euros per megawatt hour in 2015 to 65.4 euros in 2050.
So a small increase, not exactly a huge selling point for making such a massive change.
Not on its own, no.
Yeah.
But then you look at the integrated scenario, the one that adds water desalination and industrial gas production.
And what happens to the cost there?
It drops significantly, from around 60 euros per megawatt hour in 2015 down to just 57.3 euros in 2050.
Okay, wait, let me get this straight. The integrated system is bigger, right? The study says 24.4% higher electricity generation and total installed capacity.
That's right. It's a larger system overall.
But the average cost per unit of energy goes down. How does building more stuff make it cheaper?
It sounds paradoxical, but it's all about flexibility and using energy that would otherwise be wasted.
Okay, explain that.
When you have massive amounts of solar, there are times, especially midday, when you generate more power than the grid immediately needs. Normally, you'd have to curtail that, just switch off the solar panels, waste the energy.
Right, wasted potential.
But if you had these other sectors coupled in like desalination plants or electrolyzers, making hydrogen for SNG, they can act as flexible loads. They can soak up that cheap excess renewable power.
Ah, so instead of wasting the surplus solar, you use it to make fresh water or clean gas.
Precisely. Look at desalination with SWRO. It's energy intensive, yes, but you can ramp it up when solar power is abundant and cheap. It becomes a flexible energy sink.
And because the electricity feeding it is cheaper overall in this integrated system.
The cost of the desalinated water itself drops by almost a third, according to the study, down to about 63 euro cents per cubic meter. And desalination ends up meeting about 28% of Turkey's total water demand by 2050.
Wow. Okay, and the power to gas part, making SNG for industry.
Same principle, but it functions more like seasonal storage. The SNG production really starts scaling up around 2035 when the economics become really favorable.
And when does it run?
Mostly during the sunniest months, March to October. It specifically uses electricity that would otherwise be curtailed, transforming that potential waste into valuable, storable gas to replace fossil fuels used in industry.
So it smooths out the seasonal variation of solar power, essentially.
Exactly. It acts as a giant battery, but storing energy chemically over months. And this smart utilization makes the whole system much more efficient.
How so?
Even though the integrated scenario has 24% more capacity, the percentage of energy lost to curtailment actually declines. It drops from 6.5% in the power-only scenario down to 5.7%.
So you build more, but you waste less. You're using your renewable assets much more effectively.
That's the key. Better utilization drives the cost down.
Okay, so if we look at the money side, the whole structure of energy costs must change dramatically.
Radically. Think about it. Fuel costs were about 30% of the total system cost in 2015. In this renewable system, they basically disappear by 2025. Gone.
So the cost shifts entirely from buying fuel, mostly imported fuel, to what?
Capital expenditure,
Yeah.
CapEx. Building things domestically. The study breaks it down. About 60% of the costs become the generation assets, solar panels, wind turbines, and about 30% goes into storage, like batteries, and that crucial seasonal gas storage.
That's a fundamentally different financial challenge, isn't it? Moving from managing volatile fuel import bills to financing massive upfront domestic infrastructure projects.
It absolutely is.
Hmm.
The political and financial focus shifts entirely, but the long-term payoff, according to this study, is enormous and starts quickly.
On the environmental side.
CO2 emissions plummet. They go from 120 million tons a year down to just 25 million tons within the first 10 years, reaching almost zero by the late 2040s. So it fully meets Turkey's climate commitments.
And the immediate payoff, the big one.
Energy security. Independence. This 100% renewable system means domestic self-supply, 247. No more reliance on those volatile gas and coal imports.
And the savings from not importing that fuel?
Over 34 billion euros annual.
34 billion euros saved every year. That's country-changing money.
It's a staggering figure. You could fund huge national projects, social programs, infrastructure upgrades with that kind of annual saving. It really repositions the entire economy and its security.
So the study essentially maps out this transition in like two main stages.
We could kind of see it that way, yeah. Phase 1, let's say roughly 2015 to 2030, is really about the big switch in electricity generation. Rapidly building out solar PV and wind to form the new backbone.
Get the clean generation in place first.
Right. Then phase 2, which really ramps up from 2030 onwards, is all about storage and coupling. That's when you see the massive build-out of batteries and, critically, that seasonal SNG storage. And really intensifying the sector, coupling with SWRO for water and PDG for industrial gas to balance the whole thing.
Stabilize the system and make all that solar work efficiently year-round.
Exactly.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground here, but the core message from this deep dive into the study seems really clear.
What's your main takeaway?
That a 100% renewable energy system, at least for Turkey, based on this analysis, isn't just some far-off technical possibility. It looks like it could actually be financially better than sticking with the old ways.
Yeah, that lower LCOE in the integrated scenario is key.
Driven by those plunging solar costs, obviously, but crucially also by the smarts of linking power with water and industrial gas. That flexibility is what unlocks the savings.
It really is a blueprint for a national energy transformation. You're swapping decades of expensive, risky import dependency for massive domestic investment in solar and wind.
And reaping those annual savings of over 34 billion euros. It flips the whole risk profile, doesn't it? From worrying about gas pipelines to worrying about financing construction projects.
A different challenge, but arguably a much better one to have. But here's a final thought to leave you with.
Okay.
This study, as comprehensive as it is, only modeled electricity, water desalination, and non-energetic industrial gas.
Right.
But Turkey, like most countries, has huge energy demands in other sectors too. Heating, transportation.
Yeah, massive sectors.
So the provocative question is, if coupling just those first three sectors already shows significant cost reductions and efficiency gains, what happens if you fully integrate heating and transportation into this 100% renewable pathway as well?
What further cost drops or system benefits might you uncover then?
Exactly. What does that truly integrated energy future look like?
A fascinating question indeed. We've been digging into the core insights from the source. An energy transition pathway for Turkey to achieve 100% renewable energy-powered electricity, desalination, and non-energetic industrial gas demand sectors by 2050.